Did the candidates create market-leading products? Would children want one? Would anyone want one?
Definitely not.
This year, Innovate Design was asked to help candidates with one of the toughest design challenges ever attempted on the show. For the task, candidates were asked to design an electric toothbrush and app to help encourage children to brush their teeth. As part of the app, they had to design a 3D virtual brush character and control it using a motion capture suit. They had to design the app UI, product logo, and produce a working prototype of the brush to control the app and packaging. Innovate Design helped them produce all that in less than a day. Innovate Design's team of experts were banned from assisting candidates with design choices, but they were still able to help the candidates deliver a complex product in next to no time. The journey started late 2019, when Innovate Design's founder, Alistair, was contacted by the Apprentice team.
The show's producer contacted us back in December 2019, asking whether we could help them with their next show. It's a big challenge, but we looked at all the different elements, and we realised that we had the right skill sets in-house and a big enough team, so we said yes to it.
What happened next?
Pandemic arrived, lockdown ensued, the show was cancelled, and we thought that was the end of it. The good news was they got back in touch with us the following year.
So in March 2021, we were in talks with the production team to find out how we could make the task work so we could be ready to film in July the same year. But the producers have made 16 series already, and their target was to make the best series they've ever made. So it made things quite challenging. So we started to talk about what kind of team we'd need to put together for the project. We've got a multi-skilled team of 18 product designers at Innovate. So we were able to bring all those roles down into just 4 designers per team, plus myself and Nick in the middle going across both teams.
The team began by developing the smart technology inside the brush. Nick was the electronics lead.
Well, we decided to look at a number of competitors of smart toothbrushes that were already on the market to see what they offered. We decided to design bespoke hardware to give the candidates the kind of data capture that we thought would be useful within an app. So we put in a number of sensors, accelerometers, gyroscopes to detect the orientation of the brush and also to detect how vigorously they were brushing or whether they were pressing too hard. And we built an API which allowed us to extract all of the data in real time for use within the app.
With the smart technology working, the team turned their attention to the brush itself.
So Charlie and I helped the candidates design their brushes. In the practices, we found that the tests were far too big and it was going to take way too long to print their designs. So we came up with the idea of having a bounding box, which allowed us to really cut down on the print times, but not limit the candidates' creativity too much.
So after we did all the sketching, we looked at the logo and branding design, and with only a couple of weeks to go before filming, we did decide to go and do all the packaging as well. We worked with a great company called Colour, and they managed to do the packaging designs for us overnight.
So Isaac and I, we developed the chassis, which would house the PCB and the battery, and then that would be the internal assembly that would then sit inside the external toothbrush that the candidates designed. There's quite a lot of interesting, innovative tech that's going into this toothbrush, and we had to embed all of this into a toothbrush that was no bigger than your standard off-the-shelf Oral-B Pro 2.
Production basically said to us that they wanted something that could be bright and colourful and have patterns and text on it as well. And we found that Polyjet were the kind of perfect printer that would print in colours and make a really nice print that could be shown on TV. You know, we found a company called Laserlines who were kind of fantastic at helping us to refine our models for 3D printing in such a short space of time. They gave us invaluable help throughout the practice stages, and on the day we were able to produce 2 prints overnight that were with us by 5 a.m. the next morning. So we did many practice tasks to make sure that we could print these models in the time set by the production team. In these practices, we modelled and printed a hippo, an alien, and a dragon.
Over in the app team, Kin, Kit and Daniel worked on brush character design and animation.
Character creation can take 6 to 12 months to make a unique character. We use cutting-edge character creation technology, which allowed us to use assets we can download online and resize certain elements, recolor and customize to a certain degree. This allowed candidates to make a unique character for their app. We then paired this with motion capture technology from Xsense. They make these motion capture suits with 17 high-fidelity sensors all over your body that can track every movement. So pairing this with the character creation, the candidates could move however they want and it would track it and map it onto the 3D character. We actually tested this ourselves. Dan volunteered me to be dressed up in it and dance as a zebra.
Okay, so we used the same character creation technology plus some custom 3D sculpting to create the animation of Lord Sugar, who was briefing the candidates on the task. Because the theme was teeth, we thought it'd be really fun to actually portray Lord Sugar as this hard-nosed business tooth fairy. So the producers gave us the audio and we took everything from there. And overall, I think we're pretty happy with how the final output looked.
The brush characters then had to be combined into an app, which also had to be designed. That's where Adam and Olivia came in.
So apps normally take months to develop, but to save time with this, we made app templates in advance, which meant that the candidates could just drag and drop their character animations and the artwork that they made with us straight into the preset templates.
Yeah, the practice runs were a great opportunity to go through all the processes and look at each stage and see how long the time was going to take and whether or not we'd need certain templates and assets that could quicken the process.
Yeah, definitely. And also how to fit that in with the schedule for the day, because timings were so tight with the producers and the filming.
After months of preparation, it was finally time to film the show. The whole team met at the Salisbury studio, which would be the filming location for the app part of the task. They did their final checks and took a quick photo before the brush team set off to the London filming location at Here East.
So we had to prepare and make sure everything was ready. The candidates didn't arrive until about lunchtime. We'd all gone off to get our lunch and then got a call to be like, quick, get back, they're all ready. They weren't ready, they needed lunch still. We came across a technical fault, but it's something we got past pretty quick. Once we started all the sketching, actually only ended up with about half an hour to do the design, certainly for my team anyway. Yeah, they spent a lot of time just talking, mostly focusing on the colour. I did wonder if they were ever going to get started with everything.
Because of the delays, it left us with only like half an hour to actually sketch the brush concepts. They started designing and I just couldn't believe that my first experience on TV was going to be designing a turd. There was a moment early on in the filming where I remember James and I looked at each other and we shared a smile just because there was literally nothing we could do. We weren't allowed to help the candidates.
So we finally, everything had been done. We were like, okay, now it's time to relax a little bit on the way back to the hotel. We had a call from the production team. Magic was fine, but Magico wasn't fine. We CAD'd a little brown part that would then just stick onto the 3D print. We called up the print guys and we said, can you print this? And they said yes. So, we faced the problem, but problem solved straight away.
Over in Innovate Salisbury Design Studio, work began on the app at around 3:30 p.m.
I think the candidates, when you talk to them outside and off camera, they were really lovely. They, were really chatty, but there was a lot of sort of arrogance and miscommunication, and it was very stressful.
I think they got there eventually, but certainly at the start they were mixing and matching a lot of different graphics. It was kind of quite hard for us as designers, I think, to kind of bite our lip and not say anything. As a designer and as a perfectionist, it's quite hard not to want to kind of step in and make it as amazing as it could be.
Yeah, I think that was probably the hardest thing for me, is to step back and take our experience out of the equation, and we just became a tool to make their vision. And that was a struggle actually.
So I was helping the girls team develop a brush character for their chosen theme, which was space. We had prepared for everything from aliens, astronauts, spaceships, planets. You name it, we planned for it. The only thing we didn't plan for was, towards the end of the actual allotted time period, them choosing a space character, which was a space tooth. Designing a space tooth in less than 20 minutes was quite intense, but I do love the final output. It was both terrifying and hilarious.
Luckily, on my end of things, the boys weren't as creative and scary as Dan's girls, and they created a wizard. They named it Whiffy for a cleaning product, which is an interesting choice. So creating the character wasn't as bad. It was just a wizard with a wand, recolor a few things, add a cape on. But when it came to the motion capture, I was really expecting a lot from the boys. I was expecting them to go wild, jump around the room, do a little bit of twerking, but they threw no shapes. All they did was walk around and brush imaginary teeth. It was quite disappointing. Me and Dan put so much work into testing and getting this equipment working, and they really humbled it, I felt. The saving grace of the day was when Tim Campbell complimented my shoes. They were the Yeezy 350 V2 Beluga colorways. And Tim, as you can see, he's a very stylish guy. He knows style, and he complimented them. So let that be on the record.
The app design went on and on. Olivia gave the app one final tired test, and at 3 a.m, the team bustled Nick into a taxi for London.
Once the designs and the characters had been created, all of the assets were sent to me, and it was then my responsibility to take those, combine them all within the working app. I worked on that overnight and managed to finish in the early hours of the morning, by which point I had to get into a taxi and head straight off to London to deliver the apps to the Apprentice house. I got to London about 5 o'clock in the morning and arrived at the hotel we should have been staying at just as the toothbrushes had been delivered from the print house.
So when Nick turned up, he went to check into his room for a shower, and I went to join Isaac and the rest of the team in the hotel room to build the brush prototypes. Shortly after, Nick came and joined us to build the apps and connect them up to the brushes.
It was the first time we got our hands on the tablets that were being supplied for the candidates, and they were of a different screen size to what we had used for our development. Thankfully, we had designed it in such a way as it would work across a number of different screen sizes.
At 6 a.m, a taxi collected the team and drove to the candidate's house.
It was a really strange experience. I mean, obviously it was in the heat of COVID, so you had all of these COVID police out everywhere, like trying to take your temperature and check you're all okay.
Constantly being asked to be quiet and get out of shot as well, because you'd find that they'd be filming and there'd be like a glass door inside somewhere and you could see us too in the shot. We got given a little workshop, which was the garage for the Apprentice's house, where Sully and I were assembling the prototypes and doing the finishing touches and making sure everything was working and ready.
At one point there was just a little bit of hot glue that needed a bit of melting, so we asked one of the runners to they said that they could go inside and fetch a hair dryer from one of the candidates. So I don't know whose hair dryer I used, but I used one of your hair dryers. Yeah, and then once they'd been we demoed how to use the brushes to the candidates, we then kind of split off. So I went off to to get market feedback from the kids, and we were there to just support, in case anything went wrong with the toothbrushes. And then where did you go?
So I went to the Booper pitch and the Super Drug pitch. So we were there just to make sure that everything kind of ran smoothly.
We kind of found that we didn't actually really need to be there. We just kind of took off after that and finally managed to get some rest, and left them with the toothbrushes and watched England get defeated in the football.
Yeah, stressful, tired, but fun.
Yeah.
Once the task was complete, the team had a chance to reflect on what they had achieved.
So yeah, it's been a fantastic experience. The design team have been amazing to work with. I'm so impressed by the way that they handled themselves with all the high pressure of cameras on them and the time that they had. They really did an amazing job, really proud of them. So I also have a newfound admiration for the producers of the show as well. Working with them through the show, they're incredibly calm and friendly. We had sort of a 48-hour period with no sleep and frantic kind of activity, but they were working like this for week after week. And for them to be able to pull this off is just incredible, to make the television that we all love and appreciate. So yeah, big respect for them as well.
For Alistair, filming this year was special for another reason.
20 years ago, Lord Sugar wrote an article in his newspaper column recommending us for all the help that we give to inventors. This gave us great credibility at the time and brought us new clients. Backstage during the filming, I was able to thank Lord Sugar personally and present him with our own specially designed Lord Sugar toothbrush. It was fantastic to meet the man himself in person and to say thank you for his support from all that time ago.
The full episode of The Apprentice is available on iPlayer. But what else does Innovate do? If you have an idea for a product, Innovate may be able to help. Innovate Design develops a variety of product ideas, including consumer products, electronic products, apps, fashion and more. Their prototyping, idea protection, and production services help you make the most out of your innovation. Click the link in the video description and find out how to get started with your idea.